right now on ESPN. A very pleasant good morning, and thank you for starting your day with us here at Get Up. And look who has made his first appearance in our studio. Joey Galloway.
A lot of airport time to get here, a lot of delays.
Was supposed to be with us yesterday. The air traffic was not your friend.
No, not at all.
But the studio just got a lot faster this morning, I can tell you that. We got a lot of receivers to talk about today, and it begins with the one that we talk about every single day. Breaking last night from our own Adam Schefter, Antonio Brown has filed another grievance with the NFL over his helmet. Brown's argument in the most recent grievance is that he did not have a full calendar year or a grace period to find a helmet that worked. And so let us bring Adam Schefter into the story here for more insight into this. This just keeps on going, Schefty. What is the very latest now with the helmet situation?
Well, Greeny, obviously, Antonio Brown believes he's got a legitimate argument here. I think, obviously, other people are skeptical that he'll be able to win a grievance against the NFL, the NFLPA here, to be able to wear the helmet that he wants to wear. But you see the grounds that he's arguing of not having that full calendar year grace period to find the suitable helmet. He found the helmet, and he believes he should be given that year now to wear the helmet he wants. But I said this to you yesterday, I'll say it to you again today, we'll say it every day we talk about it. There are 2,880 players in the NFL. 2,879 of them have conformed to the rules and found a helmet suitable enough to wear for the upcoming season. One hasn't. One continues to wage a daily battle to try to find the helmet that he wants to wear, which is obviously worn down the Raiders. Now, the good part is Antonio Brown showed back up to work yesterday. He reported for duty. He is expected to practice, though we'll see what helmet he decides to wear. And I think the season opens now in under 3 weeks. He's looked for that new helmet for over 6 months. He's been unable to find a helmet he wants to wear in 6 months. He's now has got 20 days to be able to find that helmet, to be able to get one to wear against the Denver Broncos in the Raiders' opening Monday Night Football game. We wish him the best doing that, Greeny.
Schefty, all right, stay with me a minute there. We have a few other things to get to with you, but let me take this to the table here. And again, Mike Tannenbaum, from your position as a front office guy, you would have been dealing with these things sort of maybe in a go-between role or whatever it is. How does this grievance work, and what, if any, chance do you think it has to be successful?
Yeah, Greeny, I agree with what Adam Schefter just said. He will not win this grievance. This is a policy that was jointly agreed upon between the NFL and the NFLPA. It's rooted in player safety. Antonio Brown would have to demonstrate to the arbitrator that there's compelling circumstances here. There aren't. Last year with the Miami Dolphins, we had a player in Frank Gore, very similar situation. I think the league and unit has been very pragmatic. They let players grandfather in these helmets that they've used for a long time, like a Frank Gore, like a Tom Brady. And now it's time to move on. Technology has evolved, and he's going to have to find a different helmet. He will not win this grievance.
Yeah, the underlined point here is that this is about player safety, which is about as important to the National Football League right now for any number of reasons as any other issue. Joey, we were talking before the show, and you were talking about how attached players can get to the equipment that they use. You had a personal example of this. So on some level, you were telling me you understand why this is so difficult for him.
Absolutely understand. I had the same shoulder pads for my entire 16 seasons. Later in my career, I actually went to another team, and my stuff was sent to that team. The equipment manager came to me, and he said, I think we got a mistake. I think that they sent the wrong pads. So he took me back there to look at them. Because they were taped together, my pads at that point were like 12 years in. They were literally taped together. And so he said, we got to do something about this. You can't wear these. Can you try the updated version of the pads that you've been wearing for the last 12 years? I put them on. I couldn't go out. I could not wear this pad. So I said, we have to tape these together to play because I have to wear the pads because that's how I feel when I go in the field.
Get it. And yet, if the league had come to you and said, it is either wear the pads we're telling you to wear or you are not allowed to play, at some point you would have gone on the field,
give me the pads,
right?
then.
Right, okay. You would have gone on the field.
New pads.
So eventually we believe that he will. What I want to ask you from the standpoint of being a wide receiver is this. Every day that he misses is a day that he is not working in his new offense. He's not working with his new coaching staff. He's not working with the new game plan, and he's not working with the quarterback. Yeah. How significant is that?
A player as talented as Antonio Brown that has played as long as he has played, I don't believe that Coach Gruden is concerned yet. I don't believe that the Raiders are concerned yet. I think that there is time to become concerned, but you're still talking 3 weeks to go. Gruden knows, especially with veteran players, and I played with Gruden, and I didn't practice a lot. He gave me a lot of days off, but on the days I went hard. So I believe he's still in that place where he's thinking we have plenty of time for AB to get into this offense.
Mike, I will get back to you in a second. I'm being told Adam Schefter wants to jump back in here. Go ahead, Schefter.
Well, Greeny, I think this is really worn on all sides, and I think it's really affected the relationship between Antonio Brown and the Raiders. You heard Mike Mayock come out with some strong words the other day. Maybe Mike Tannenbaum would have said the very same thing as the general manager of the Oakland Raiders if he were in that job. But the fact remains, I think that the Raiders were considering sending Antonio Brown the dreaded 5-day letter, which would have given him 5 days to report, lest he be put on a reserve list where basically he could not play this season and they would not have to pay him. I think they were kicking that around. And that is one of the reasons that Antonio Brown showed back up to work, because that would have been a nuclear option for the Raiders. It would have exacerbated things. So we have a whole bunch of issues tied into this one issue. It's one player trying to seek one helmet that has impacted the relationships he has within that organization and perhaps how this season will play out.
Well, that's really interesting. And remember yesterday, for those of you who are with us, in this hour of our show yesterday, we had his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, on, who said he, Drew, had been on the phone with Mayock all day long the day before, and that he told us he's going to be back to work soon. He didn't tell us it would be that day, but he was. What did you make of that and the relationship Schefter is talking about with Mayock and the way that was handled?
Yeah, I think there's a time and place to have those conversations. I know from sitting in that seat, the best time to have those conversations and the most effective result is to have those conversations privately. Just from a standpoint, you're having a challenging conversation with a player that you want to get a lot out of. With that said, what Adam's referring to, the 5-day letter says, if you come to training camp and then leave and you don't come back in 5 days, if we send this letter, you are ineligible to play in the 2019 season for any team. So it is truly nuclear. It is rare.
No way.
It is rare to use.
No way.
I agree.
They're going to send that letter.
And here's why I don't think they send that letter. If he was a free agent and they wanted to avoid the guaranteed money, which is $30 million, that's one thing. They gave up multiple draft choices. They need this player to be successful. This is the first year they have the player. Yeah. They are not going to send that letter. I know they may threaten to send it, but that's why it's so rare.
Well,
you don't want to make
nothing fixes relationships like touchdown catches.
That's exactly
They'll
right.
get over it.
You got to be on the field in order to make touchdown catches, and you got to find a helmet you can wear to do it. Okay, as you can see, this whole situation is a mess. We'll have more of it as we go. Meanwhile, Ezekiel Elliott, Laura, what's going on with him?
Yeah, he's not on the field either, Greeny. His holdout continues. According to his agent, the star running back not pleased with Jerry Jones' joke about Zeke who after the Cowboys preseason game on Saturday night. Elliott's agent, Rocky Arsenault, told ESPN, quote, I didn't think that was funny, and neither did Zeke. We actually thought it was disrespectful. So let's welcome back in Adam Schefter on this. And Schefter, Zeke wasn't happy with Jerry Jones joking around. Where does that leave this ongoing negotiation?
A lot to unpack here as well, because basically you're in a negotiation where Zeke Elliott is being told you're not worth what you're asking for. And at a time that he's being told that, he hears the Cowboys owner Jerry Jones joke, and I emphasize joke, after Tony Pollard, the rookie running back, shines on Saturday night in a preseason game, Zeke who? Now again, some people found humor in it, but when you're in a sensitive, delicate, emotional negotiation, there are certain people that might not find humor in that. And Zeke Elliott and his agent Rocky Arsenault told Chris Mortensen that they did not find humor in that. Now, again, the flip side of this is that they publicly called out Jerry Jones. As one person texted me yesterday, you don't want to mess with Jerry Jones in a situation like this. But their feelings were hurt. And we can go back over time to any holdout that we've seen. And the longer it goes on, the more people speak, the more feelings could get damaged, and the more it threatens to make these particular situations linger. And that's what's happening here. Basically, Zeke Elliott and his agent felt insulted by a joke that Jerry Jones made, which he thought was funny at that time, which the other side did not. It shows you how strained these negotiations and holdouts can be.
Yeah, very delicate situation that's happening quite publicly. Thanks so much, Adam Schefter. You're going to hang tight. We'll be back with you in a moment.
All right, I'm going to smash my head into a wall at some point on this thing here. I mean, now we're offended that Jerry made what was obviously a joke. And I understand what Schefter is saying. It is an indication that this thing has gotten to a point now where people are taking things personally. But when you look at the history of the relationships involved, when you look at the way Jerry went to bat for Zeke Elliott when Zeke got suspended by the league, and you look at some of the off-the-field stuff that we've dealt with Ezekiel Elliott, the fact that Jerry Jones made what was obviously a joke. I don't sit here to defend Jerry Jones in absolutely everything he says and does, but that was so clearly a joke. We showed it to you yesterday. He laughed, everybody laughed, and then he said, I'm obviously kidding here, guys. So let's not be ridiculous. Zeke is an Ohio State guy. Joey, you're an Ohio State guy. What the heck is going on here with this relationship?
I agree with you. This is obviously a joke. If he really wanted to insult Zeke, there are other ways to do it. And you insult players by the money you offer them. We don't care about the statements you make. We know about that part of it. You insult us if you don't pay us what we think we deserve. And when we talk about the other running back, if you ask Zeke right now, who's sitting in wherever he's training,
Cabo,
on the beach somewhere, if you asked him about, hey, are you concerned that the other running back is going to take your job? Then Zeke would have that same joke like, who? Who are we speaking of? Not a concern at all. Zeke is in no hurry to get back.
Okay, so this is a unique circumstance because I can't ask you what does the general manager do when there's an issue between the team owner and the player because it's the same guy in this case. There is no in-between there between Jerry Jones and the player. Maybe this is an indication sometimes of why that isn't such a good idea. So what do we do about this thing now in Dallas?
Well, first of all, if you're quarterbacking the holdout from a club standpoint, you want to be coordinated what you say because, look, at the end of the day, you want Zeke to come back and feel great. And look, he may have said it in jest. However, on the other side of the coin, if you're Zeke Elliott, you have nothing else going on all day. You're reading everything coming out of that building. And look, emotions get inflamed, and they have to be careful. And I'm not saying they're there yet, but they have to be careful that this doesn't bleed into betrayal because betrayal is a powerful human emotion. We saw it last year with Le'Veon Bell. We may see it this year with Trent Williams in Washington in terms of what he thinks about the medical staff. And you could go down a path where you can't solve the problem. And I'm not saying that Tony Pollard is going to replace Zeke Elliott. Far from it. Zeke's a great player. But they get down to the 5-yard line and they're trying to get a deal done. And that building's encouraged by what Tony Pollard's doing. Tony Pollard may take a couple dollars out of Zeke Elliott's pocket.
I get what you're saying.
Stop it.
What?
Stop it. Zeke is not concerned that Pollard is going to take money out of his pocket. Zeke is like, let's see it happen. Let me see you let Pollard try to take money out of my pocket because I know what I've brought to this table, and I think he's sitting there not worried about it at all.
And Joey, I'm not saying that Zeke Elliott's not a great player because he is, and he deserves to get paid within reason. My point is, from a front office standpoint, you could see that they're functioning with Tony Pollard. Now, his pass protection has to get better, and if they're, again, at the 5-yard line trying to get a deal done, who's going to move a little bit? I think as each week goes by, if Pollard's playing well and they're functioning on offense, that may give the benefit of the doubt more to the Cowboys.
A lot of people function in the preseason.
I get it. Yeah. And look, I mean, for whatever the relationships, I get it. During a negotiation, you'll say and do crazy things. But there was a time here when Jerry Jones basically tried to have Roger Goodell removed as commissioner of the NFL for suspending Zeke Elliott. If that can be undone with 2 words, Zeke who, that were obviously a joke, then we have a bigger problem in the middle of all of this. All right, we'll have more on this as we go. Let me get you on the field last night, thank goodness. And this was awful.